Hello YouTube. Today I want to make you my Sage Arrow Einherjar build guide. So in case any of you don't know, I already killed Supreme Showdown 20. I'll be killing Supreme Showdown 21 today. I just want to first get full prices here because I don't actually have all my prices items. But I want to make a guide going through the build, what I've done, what I think is worth doing, what I think is not worth doing, all those things. Literally like 1 and 2 on Sage is just, this is a person who's in my chat every single day, just copying exactly what I do, one for one. And the build has just been extremely cheap for him. He's been having a great season so far. Obviously, I am just miles ahead of everyone else. And this is with Sage being one of the most popular heroes this season. She is in the top 6 of popularity, which means there's a lot of competition, and pretty much every Sage build just kind of sucks dick because the problem with Sage is she has no damage. She's just very tanky, so I made this build to have infinite damage while still capitalizing on the fact that she is tanky. Sorry about that. I fucking coughed on my own breath, so I had to swallow quickly. I had to mute quickly just to cough. So, with all that being said, how does the build work and how do you set it up? The most important items, I think, to get this build started with is to buy an Imperial Iron Sentry. You want one of the multi-strike mode, nothing else really matters. I soft corrode this one. I fucking wasted like over 2k FE soft corroding them. I got super unlucky. It is what it is. This is like the best thing I hit. You want a Death's Touch with this adds plus damage to main hand weapon mod. Technically, you don't need this. If you want to have a very budget version, instead of Death's Touch, what you can do is run a Blade Dancer's Edges as your gloves, but you will be lacking a lot of damage then. Eventually, you don't want to swap to Death's Touch. If you swap to Death's Touch, you have two options. So we need Blade Dancer's Edge max sentry quantity. This is an important mod for getting to 4 sentries, because we do need to have 4 sentries active for maximum damage, which is the cap. You can either go on your bow and have your bow be max sentry quant +2. You can hit this mod. Or you can make this Vorax Blade Dancer's Edge with +1, and then also use Multifaceted Guard, which is going to give you another +1 sentry. I chose the Multifaceted Guards option because it's just cheaper, but if you were to use a +2 instead of this projectile damage mod, what you would then do is you would make a Vorax eventually with Ice Drinker's Cage to have extreme coldness and gain 1 stack of cage. This is more damage than my setup, but obviously I didn't really feel like spending, at the time it was like 5k FE for Ice Drinker's Cage when I was like making this decision. So I have Gale and Belt. You do not need Gale and Belt. Gale and Belt is really expensive now. I bought it when it was way cheaper. I bought it when it was 400 FE for the belt, or like 380 I think. Now it's over 1000 FE for like any belt at all. You do not need Gale and Belt. What you can do instead is, on your pedigree, you can get Gale here. And then instead of running Ranger, which is what I'm running right now, or what I was running prior to that was Lich, you can go into the Artisan tree and pick up Co-Resonance here. Lone Walkers is decent for damage. You don't need to have Lone Walkers in this build to scale damage. I went for the aura stacking method just because it's also a very good way to scale defense, especially for a character like Sage. Sage benefits a ton from scaling defense with Lone Walkers because you don't really want to do anything like block. You don't want to do stuff like damage. You can do damage conversion. That is optional in like max res, but you have so many like legendaries in your build that scaling your defense through layers such as armor and through damage transfer is just significantly easier. Now let's quickly talk about the skills. So you do not need Scorpion Distillate. I suggest just running Thirstyu. Thirstyu and Scorpion Distillate are very similar in damage. Scorpion is very slightly better, but like it is pretty much just neck and neck. It's the same fucking thing. The only difference is if you run Scorpion Distillate, you want to get crit and damage percent from your Tantri. If you run Thirstyu, you want to get projectile speed and attack and cast speed from like your mods and your talent tree. The only reason I bought Scorpion Distillate is because I wasn't pushing to kill ss20 as fast as possible. I wanted to just have a faster and more enjoyable mapping experience, which is, This is a pretty fucking nice mapper. So I do suggest getting like full priceless gear. That is something that I didn't do, which is going to be a massive boom. If you want to scale defense with this build, I think a big defense layer is not actually lone walkers, but instead going and getting this basic Formology manuscript. This is like absolutely insane for Sage. I self-revived this and I hit it on my first try, fortunately. But this allows you to cap out your hero trait. Resilient Moss to have 60% damage transfer. And then if you have that 6% there, you have 13% from like this Fallen Starlight. And you can also then get another 6% from this module. And you end up with 79% of the damage you take being transferred. Not only are you transferring 79% of the damage you're taking, but then from the remaining 21% damage, you know, we have armor as a mitigation layer, which if you don't have lone walkers, you want to have this armor, but you don't really need it. And you will have max stress. So that is like pretty fucking tanky. I mean, I can like AFK the Watcher Breath, like the Glacial Watcher Breath, it doesn't do anything to me. Just overall, like very, very strong character. Now, I do suggest if you are like trying to start off this character and you want to swap to Sage and you want to work up to this build and things, I do actually suggest people to play it. I think it's a very, very, not only a very good build, I think it's a very cheap build. I think something you'll find often with this build is like, you know, I'm gonna show you this. This skill is super meta. Every Sage I know is not playing my build. Everyone's swapped to it. A max roll is still 400 FE. That is insane. I can show you a max roll for like a Selena 2 skill or like a Rayan 2 skill or like a Erica 1 skill and it's not going to be 400 FE. This goes not 800, but you know, you can buy T0 for 160 FE. The skill max roll 95 FE. It's so ridiculously cheap. You have Sentry Medium, max roll with 2 sentries deployed, 400 FE. Let's see if we just want like a decent roll, like a T0, 250 FE. And these are after I made this is after I made the build popular. When I still played this build, it was like way, way, way cheaper. And then also, I do want to talk about the Module Tyrant. A lot of people have been asking about the Module Tyrant. This Tyrant line does not fucking matter. Literally, just do this, okay? Go item, skill, modularization skill. Type in source, protocol, overclock composition. So source code overclock composition. Click this, click search. And then whatever one of yours cheapest, that is the one that you want to use in this build. Now, look at this. The cheapest one's 5k. I'm not spending 5k FE for fucking, what, 20% injury buffer? I don't need this shit. I don't need 20% injury buffer. I'm fucking unkillable. I could use no injury buffer and I'll still be fine. So, what are we gonna do? We're just gonna not do that. We're gonna do something else. Maybe you wanna do, like, the movement speed source. Which I don't actually remember which one it was. Maybe you want some Tenacity Blessings, you know, fuck it. I want some Tenacity Blessings. That's a defense layer instead, 800 FE. Maybe I want to have... Maybe I just want to have the cheapest one possible. Maybe I'll just have, like, the Cold Protocol for Infiltration. 1 FE. You know, like, it actually does not matter. Like, let me showcase this to you, okay? Just to make it clear. Look, this is a Watcher Breath. My HP didn't even drop below 90%. Like, I have 2 health bars. One is the injury buffer, and then the other one is, like, my actual life bar. My actual life bar doesn't even drop below 90%. I don't think that drops below 95%. You think I need injury buffer? I don't fucking need that shit. I'm tanky as fuck. With that, all of that being said, and getting that out of the way for you guys, but if you do end up going the Lone Walkers route, I do suggest you go Lich until you are able to get 90% sealed mana. If you go Lich, you know, you get a lot of sealed mana here. Once you reach 90% mana, you can just drop Lich altogether, and I went with Ranger, because Ranger just has... Ranger is just one of the strongest skill trees in the game. You can also consider going for Warlock, especially if you have a Phantasmagoria, with this being Legendary mods. If you have Phantasmagoria with Legendary mods, for 10.5% sealed, It's very good on Warlock because you can plop it down right here. And if it's a 3x3, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is literally better than my Phantasmagoria. That is more skill mana than mine, but this was my first attempt at crafting. I literally just took whatever I got, and we got something usable. No reason to overdo it. And then the reason you go Warlock is so you can try to abuse Dirty Tricks. We obviously are double dipping on Dirty Tricks, so Frostbite and Freeze. We can then get Trauma, Wilt, Ignite, and Numb. We have various ways to try and get these in our build. Wilt and Trauma, you can just get base ailment damage on a Fallen Starlight, which is not too difficult. Ignite, you can... Same thing as Trauma and Wilt. And then Numb is going to be a bit more tough, but you could maybe do Numb with like your module, for example. I think that would be possible. But obviously you don't need to have all of these. Even just having like 4 of them. Even just having 4 of them makes Dirty Tricks one of the strongest like main taunts in the game. And then the tree itself is really good. You get Paralyze, you get damage against cursed enemies. Blind and Slow are very good defensive layers. And getting Blur is like a nice defense layer. Like, all of these things are pretty nice, and even if you're not necessarily like quote-unquote using them because you're not playing Wings of Light, actually just having Blind and Slow just is gonna make your gaming experience a lot better. Especially for like a non Lone Walker setup. So do you need Lone Walkers for this build? No. I mean, if I, instead of Lone Walkers, if I had Priceless Boots in my build, and I was running 2 50% auras, and I just had like full Priceless gear, like I'm pretty sure I would still have 15 trillion damage. But with that being said, Lone Walker's fucking awesome, dude. You get 50% movement speed, you get a fucking of aura effect, your Swiftness aura is giving you over 50% movement speed. This item alone is giving me over 100% movement speed. I love Lone Walkers. And like 7.8k FE. You know, I spent 8k FE or 7k FE buying Scorpion Stinger Distillate for 90% movement speed. I'll fucking spend 8k to buy Lone Walkers, which not only gives me 100% movement speed, it also gives me an obscene amount of tankiness and damage. Which is the main reason I went for it. It's obviously not needed, but I'm not gonna try and act like I don't have this in my build and it's not a big part of my build. Anyway, that's gonna be my just quick guide, just running through the build, all the important things and the unimportant things. I guess things that I like were like not important, things that were a waste of FE. Honestly, trying to sequence my weapon was a complete and utter waste of time. I hit a completely useless sequence, it was just not worth it. I think some of my priority with upgrading my build was really bad. I actually do not regret this at all. I think this is fucking amazing and super worth it. I don't think I needed this double crit Death's Touch. The reason I bought this Death's Touch is because I wanted one with the crit mode, so I could get gear crit on my weapon, so I could replace my crit Euro memory with like the Sage one. In hindsight, I generally think you just equip Lucky Crit, and it's like, you say 4k FE, you equip Lucky Crit, and it's like the same shit. Damage is like not really an issue in this build. I could have used that FE to just like buy Priceless gear, which would have given me more damage than the crit than this did by far. I think buying an Iron Sentry that's like corroded is pretty worth it though. Like, this is 300 FE, like it's not even that bad. Let's see, what about this? Yeah, I mean, you can just buy the timid one. The timid one is not that much worse than the multi-strike one. I haven't actually done the math on it, maybe it's even better. But like, timid, you go from level 20 timid to level 40 timid, which is, you know, increases your timid's damage by 20% additional. And on top of that, we're also running Poised Omen. So I do have this in my build. I have Biting Cold. You don't need this. Instead of Biting Cold, Poised Omen, I think you literally just equip like Red Umbrella, and it does the exact same thing. And then you have Paralyze from Red Umbrella, which is really nice. As for important state modes, I mean, damage transfer is just for tankiness. Elixir effect was literally just for movement speed, you don't need this. Although this does actually also help with tankiness and capping out resilient moss. So I do think like on stage this is worth buying, especially putting it between the Nether King's Divinity. You absolutely should buy Nether King's Divinity like Judgment. They're like 800 FP, but they're way stronger than a Prairie. Sealed Mana was just so I could drop Lich, but honestly you don't need to drop Lich. Lich is fine. Elixir skill progress I do actually recommend. And ideally, instead of a Phantasmagoria of medium sealed mana on it, you would just have one of legendary on it. Because you can even use the legendary one, like, in this tree, for example. Because, like, let's see. Let's say you have, like, 4x3, you can, like, put it here. And hit this, and this. You know, like, there's ways to build around it that wouldn't use as many points as this, but because I had what I had, I, you know, just made work of. I just tried to make it work. As far as I remember, micro is actually better than medium. You can get, like, you can hit way more nodes of a micro, but I don't exactly remember what the setup is. I think if you have, like, a 4x3, micro is really fucking broken, because you don't have to invest as many points into the profit tree, because obviously investing all these points for the sealed mana, while it is very effective, it is a massive investment of points, which you will not be getting back. But anyway, that was my Sage guide for the season. Please look out for the YouTube. I'll upload my ss20 and ss21 clears today. Or, yeah, I'll try to get them out today. We'll see when exactly I get them out. And then going forward, I'm going to be finishing up getting prices gear on this character. I'm going to be pushing into deep space. And I'm going to be making some farming guides for people. And, like, helping people with things that... just showing what I've been farming and what has been making me good money. And testing shit out. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys have a lovely day further. And I'll see you again later. Bye-bye, YouTube. Bye-bye.